Hello, Will. Thank you for joining me today.
Hello, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm really pleased to have you on. It's great to be able to do this interview with you, which is going to feature in the Chalk newsletter. So let's get straight into it. So tell me, TechResort, what led you to starting TechResort back in, I believe it's 2013, was it?
Yeah, so we're almost at next year's our 10th anniversary, which makes me feel very old. There's a few different stories, but I'll tell you my story.
Yeah.
Because other people working for TechResort, they came to it in different ways. But my family lived in London, and we kind of fallen out of love with the place, so we were looking to move somewhere new. And we knew Sussex and Eastbourne pretty well. So we were already, we were on the train, we were coming down, we were sort of seeing what it was all about. But the thing that struck me when we moved here was there's a really strong community spirit. So loads of activities, people mucking in, which you don't have in an anonymous bit of North London. You just don't have it in the same way. So we're thinking, okay, well, we're down here. Can we give something? Can we give something back to the new place that we're living in? And I figured, well, what do I know about? So I've worked in the digital industry for too many years. I know a bit about that. I know that it's a great place to work, and I know some of the benefits, but also know some of the pitfalls. So it's very difficult to hire people. You know that it's partly what Chalk's about. So what can I and others do something about that? And the nice thing about Eastbourne, I mean, it's a great place to live anyway, but the schools are great, and the kids really want to do good work. We work a lot with young people, and they're really into it. And the industry is growing. It's been growing, over the last 10 years, and it's really going somewhere. So all these things came together, and I thought, well, this is the thing I can do. I'm uniquely placed to do it. I'll do that. And I think the other directors that we have, like Liz, found us by accident. I can't remember how we met exactly, but she was really into it as well. Miles and Nick, they've been in the industry for years. And we all came together, and we thought, this is something we can rally around and do something, make ourselves useful, basically.
Yeah.
So hopefully we've done that.
I think so. Are you going to have a party for your 10th anniversary then? What's your plans?
We'll see what COVID allows.
Yeah, exactly. No one can make any plans.
I hope so.
Right now.
I mean, we've got a new office now, which I guess we'll talk about. But we've got a base where we could, actually do that in a socially distanced way. So I think we do need a party.
So before we get onto the new office, which is very exciting, it's always a big milestone, isn't it? Moving to different premises. Did you ever imagine when you set it up in 2013 that it was going to be sort of the entity that it is today, and that it would have achieved as much of it as it has? I mean, what were your expectations back then, if you can recall?
I think starting something new, you never quite know how it's going to work. But I think the way we've gone about it is do small things and see what happens. Work in an agile way, in the way that you work. That's a good way to go, because you'll never be surprised, and you always react to the stuff that's in front of you. And we took that approach, and that's still what we do. So in the first couple of years, we were doing all sorts of different things and trying to see what would land and what would help. I thought it was going to be a long-term thing. That was very much in my mind at the beginning. So we still do a lot of work in schools and a lot of work with young people. If you're going to do that, if you're going to do stuff with 10-year-olds, and this project is about helping them get into the workplace, well, that's at least 10 years. So we kind of knew that we'd be signing up for that. And over the last 10 years, the earliest students that we've been with, we've seen that we've done it for them. So they're into digital, they're able to do more in their teenage years, and now they've got good jobs. So that's actually a lot of what this was about. So we've seen, I think those early ideas, we've seen we can do it, which is great. I think the thing I didn't expect is how much more varied it would be. Yeah. So when we started off, we were thinking, it's a co-club thing, which co-clubs were all the rage 10 years ago. but it needs to be a lot more varied than that. So we're doing stuff in Eastbourne, but we're doing a lot more elsewhere. You know, certainly since the pandemic happened, we're quite unique as an organisation. Lots of people have come to us and said, you know, can you help with this and that? But I think also it's not just about digital skills for work, it's about digital skills for life. You know, a lot of the pandemic particularly has left people really disenfranchised. They can't get online, and therefore they've been marginalised out of society. They can't do particular things that they're able to do. So we're doing a lot more of that. We were interested in this 10 years ago, but it felt like it would sort of take care of itself, but it really isn't. You know, it needs people to work on it. I think we've done a lot of lifelong learning for adults that we didn't think we might do. You know, originally it was going to be sort of quite a young people oriented thing, but adults need these skills too, and they need to keep refreshing them, these skills, because that's how the economy works these days. So, you know, we found out lots of things, and I imagine, you know, the next 10 years, I'll be too old. We'll find out even more things, because this is I think it's just speeding up, not slowing down. There's more and more that we need to do, and, you know, organisations like ours need to do. So
yeah,
keeps us busy.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. It's just a never-ending list of things that you want to be getting involved with and people you want to be partnering up with. I think that thing around, you know, it being a long-term investment, if you like. It must be the difficulty sometimes when you're trying to engage other organisations, other companies, and get them involved in doing these things with young people, is that it isn't an instantaneous benefit that they're going to see necessarily. You know, this is about investing in the future, and seeing those people go through, and then having the digital talent 10 years down the line.
I think it can. I think if you're, as an employer, if you want a 10-year-old to work for you, obviously that's not going to happen. No. But we found, you know, as those kids kind of move into their teens, there's more they can do. So we've done real life projects with teenagers, and they've started projects themselves. And okay, you can't sell that to a client because that's not that relationship. But some of the stuff they do is quite eye-opening, and I think you don't necessarily earn money from that because it's not that kind of relationship, but you learn. So I remember when I was the first student we ever had, Theo, and we talk about Theo a lot. It was he was like into all sorts of different things and finding out about new technologies, and I was like his product manager and he was the developer, and the amount of stuff that he taught me, you know, and he was 15, you know. Yeah. You're getting so you're not getting quite what you expect, but you're getting loads out as an employee. You're getting loads out of it anyway. Yeah. So I think there's different reasons to get engaged early. Yeah, and you'll be blown away by what they do, you know.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic that you're doing that work, you know, and doing what needs to be done in that area. And yeah, I mean, I can only imagine some of the great stuff that these kids and teens are coming out with, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just talk about your new shiny offices quickly. Where are you based? I don't even know where you've moved to. Tell me.
So we were at Sussex Downs College, or East Sussex College, which was brilliant. We were there for 5 years, something like that. But we needed our own front door. That's the big learning from COVID.
Okay.
It's great being on a college and you can do loads of stuff with the students there, and that's half of what we do. You know, it's work with students, but then you've got to get school kids to come over there, and that's not necessarily the easiest place to get to. And also you're getting adults coming in to do digital inclusion work. They're not really going to go to Cross Levels way to do it, but you know, they are going to be in town, and that's where we are. We're basically in Cavendish Place, which is, if you know online ticket seller and Christos is our neighbour.
Oh, okay,
yeah. Tech thing going on down there.
Nice, really
nice. He's on the corner, and we're just in from that. Which it's very close to our old office. We used to be in Kestrel House, which was just along the seafront by Fashardis, if that's how you pronounce it. Yeah. So it's our old neighbourhood, and we had loads of contacts there when we first started, and we thought this is you can walk to it from town. It's really easy to get to. It's really obvious where it is. You know, and we're in a neighbourhood where you know, there's a lot happening. It's a really sort of busy, sort of bustling place. So we're delighted with it. But it's that front door. We needed a front door, was the biggest thing. So if people want to come during the day and do a session, well, it's our front door. Yeah, you can come. You know, it's very easy to do. So yeah.
Are there people there sort of every day, or is
most
it
days? Yeah, most days. And we've had to think about, you know, are we a shop almost? Because we've never been like that. You know, our old office was like an office, and we'd work office hours, but we wouldn't necessarily run a lot of public sessions during the day. We do them after school or at weekends. Now we've got this shop front, we're thinking actually we're a shop really, and we need to do stuff during the day. So that's a big change for this year, is there'll be much more happening, you know, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
So people could just come in when you're open, find out what sessions you've got available, what courses you're doing, or whatever it might be. Yeah.
I mean, obviously COVID permitting, we're opening up, you know, places are still opening up, but the intention is there'll be something to do. There'll be lunchtime things. There'll be more drop-in sessions for people. You know, that's kind of where we want to go.
Oh, it's brilliant.
So this is how it needs to be done. You need to be around all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what we really want to be.
Excellent. Was there any temptation, given that you're doing more work with partners outside of Eastbourne, was there any thought about, oh, should we stay in Eastbourne? Should we move elsewhere? Or has it always been, no, we're going to be in Eastbourne and we
found it Eastbourne to help Eastbourne, although we find that we're not just helping Eastbourne, we're helping a lot, you know, places elsewhere. We all live here and we all love it. And I think the problem was finding an office, really, because there's there are no offices.
Yes.
Or shops. It's really hard to find somewhere, and it took us a lot of, you know, pavement pounding to go find this place.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been very sad had we moved, because it's, you know, it's about this place that we all live in. So no, we didn't. I don't think we even thought about upping sticks. It's got to be about the place that you're in.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. Well, I shall have to pop in when I'm next in town.
Yeah, do. Yeah,
that'd be brilliant.
Definitely.
So you do work with a wide range of partner organisations. There's lots of interesting information about that on your website. How do these alliances come about? I mean, is it you getting out there, being very proactive, approaching sort of different local authorities or different organisations, or are people now coming to you and saying, look, we need your help? How is it working?
It's more people coming to us, we found. Fantastic. So I think it sort of works in 3 ways. So because we don't get public funding for code clubs or anything else, we're always literally writing bids all the time. Yeah. And that's something that in the last 10 years we've got a lot better at. You just have to keep going and keep writing, because there's not money for this anywhere else. And those bids, you know, it brings you into contact with a lot of different organisations. So we do a lot with the Sussex Community Foundation, who are amazing. You know, they funded us to do a lot of the laptop loaning stuff, you know, refurb and loaning and donating. They did a lot of that with us. Bladegrave Trust we met during COVID, and they're really into work experience for young people, and we're running a big work experience now thanks to the program, thanks to them. So that's good. So you meet people doing that kind of work. But I think also because we've been around just that little bit longer, you work out who else is in the space and who are the people on the same journey as you. And we've met lots of organisations like that. So I guess perhaps the best example is they're in Leeds. They're not in Sussex at all. They're called 100% Digital Leeds, and they're the City Council's digital inclusion programme. And these folks are amazing. They're amazing people, really caring, very focused, very good at what they do. So we're able to partner with them, and we'll learn, they learn, and a lot of this learning comes back to Eastbourne and to Sussex, you know, because they've already done it elsewhere. So this it helps them and it helps us. And I think the longer we stick around, the more folks will meet of this kind, you know, not just in the UK, but elsewhere, because a lot of this work has been done by other people. It's just we need to find it and meet those people and pick it up and use it. I think that the last, maybe the last group is, as you say, it's people who've come to us because we've got a unique set of skills. I'm trying to think of a good example of that. So Ada and Worthing Council, they do a lot of digital work, and they're very into sort of digital place and making and coding and all this kind of thing. And they said, we want to make a makerspace, but we don't know how. Who can we get to help us make one of these? So this is a room full of kit like 3D printers and laser cutters and other things that the public can come in and use. Okay. And they were saying, oh, you know, we want to make one of these. How do we do it? Oh, let's ask TechResort, because they've probably done something like that. And we have, you know, our HQ is turning into a little mini makerspace. So we help them do that. So I think it's about sticking around, getting your name out there and getting known for particular things. And we are getting known, you know, we are putting Eastbourne on the map for this kind of stuff, which is nice.
And it must be so like really interesting, varied work as well, that you are working with all these different organisations, and like you say, you're learning from them, they're learning from you.
There's never a dull moment.
I can imagine. It must be
think
constantly impacting on your strategy and direction as you see, you know, the path that other organisations have tread.
I think there's the challenge for us is because it's so varied, it's almost trying to explain what it is that we do. Because people go, well, you've done a bit of this and you've done a bit of that. And actually it all fits into one big picture. If you step back from it, actually all these things relate. So if you think about digital skills for work, it's about meeting young people, meeting them early, you know, when they're 9, 10, 11, and sticking with them and be able to expose them to all the possible skills and careers that they might have. So that's many different kinds of projects, you know. So if you, on the surface, you'll go, oh, they're jumping around trying to do these different things. Actually, they all relate. Yeah. So coding and making clubs, work experience, real life projects, they fit together.
Yeah.
And on the digital inclusion side, where you've got people who can't access online services, and that's got really, you know, that's really bitten during COVID as services have all moved online. Yeah. There's so much in that. So people can't get online because they haven't got a laptop. Well, that means we've got to start refurbishing laptops then. So that fits. Yeah. Or they can't get connectivity. Well, we've got to do something about Wi-Fi dongles, or we've got to try and get them free Wi-Fi or cheap Wi-Fi. Or they, when they have these things, they don't really know what a mouse does because they've never used one, you know, and that happens. So you have to be prepared to show people how to use all of these things. And I think if you're this far back, you won't necessarily realize that these things are all linked, but they are. So we have to jump around and we have to go where the need is.
Yeah.
And kind of work with what's in front of you and do the best job you can. It's a shame there's not more money for this kind of work, but you know.
It should be, shouldn't there? Really?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, we one thing that happened during COVID was, I think, that local councils, I mean, certainly East Sussex County Council, they're taking this a lot more seriously, digital inclusion. They're really good at it, and they've got you know, a very strong focus. That's great. So there's not been many silver linings of COVID, but the fact that people realize this is happening, you know, and they're really in there trying to do good work. But I think the government is they're certainly talking about it. Whether they do it is another matter. They're talking about how do we join up skills and do a good job for all of our people. And they asked us to write what we thought and submit that to them and go to their workshops, and we've been doing some of that. So the fact that we can actually share some of this expertise is a good thing. You know, we've got 10 years worth of know-how, and we can talk about all of that. So you know, you've got to stick at it and and keep talking about it and keep trying to raise the profile of these things. And then, you know, it's like Chalk, you know, you're trying to raise the profile of Eastbourne as a place that's great for these kind of businesses, and it's a good place to live and work. It's the same kind of thing, it's just a slightly different focus, you know.
That's it. It's just keep on reinforcing the message and connecting with more people, and like you say, then you slowly get that momentum to make change. Okay, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about schools in particular. As you know, through Chalk, we've spoke with a number of different schools, their careers advisors, around what they're doing with digital. And in my notes, I've called it the digital curriculum. I've kind of made that up, but anyway, didn't quite know how to describe it. But how is TechResort specifically supporting schools with these digital skills and, you know, careers advice for children? What have you been doing recently?
So this is all additional to what they're already getting, which is, you know, some schools are very good at this already, and that's great to see. Maybe sort of three. I'll give you three examples. So we've worked in Eastbourne. We've worked with 3 schools. We'd like to work with more, but it's actually quite hard to get through the door, and that's probably a completely different podcast or interview because they're busy. You know, they're busy. They've got to teach their kids. They don't necessarily want to hear from people like us. So getting in and being able to have a conversation is something that we've spent a lot of time on. But we've done work with Cavendish. We've done work with Bourne. Hopefully we'll do more work with Bourne because we're on there. You know, we're around the corner from them. We'd like to do more with them. We've done a lot of work with West Rise, not recently, but in the past. And a lot of this is about it's about opening the kids' eyes to all the possible things that digital industry has. So, for example, with the Cavendish Code Club that was running last term, was it last term? No, September to December, so maybe 2 terms last year. It was about with the kit that they have access to, trying to give the young people a real flavour of all the different things they could do. So it's not very structured. It's not as structured as teachers standing up and saying, I'm going to teach you this today at all. It's not chalk and talk sort of stuff. It's much more, here are all the things that we could possibly explore, and we'll give you a guiding hand to kind of explore them. We're more hands-off than a sort of traditional teacher would be, in that we want young people. So if the thing that we've given them to do isn't working, let's say, we'll not sort of dive in and fix it for them and plug it in and rewrite the software or whatever. It's very much you work it out. We'll be here and we'll help you and we'll give you little hints and whatever if you need them. But actually, it's about you being able to take this stuff on and really understand how it works, because that kind of problem solving it's the nuts and bolts of our industry, isn't it? You know, you get something, you don't know how to do it, but you've got the tools and the wherewithal to go and fix it. And that's what we're trying to instill in our youngest children. We did that in the Cavendish Coding and Making Club. The West Rise project a few years ago, it's helping them build a rover, so it's a bigger project. The Bourne School stuff was very similar. The idea really is, and we'd really like to see this over the next couple of years, is that you start with young people in year 5, so 9-10 years old, and you try and stick with them as far as possible, because I think you get to know who's interested. And I think that the other thing that we found is that girls can drop out of this career really easily and move on to something else. They think it's maybe not for them, and we really want to do something about that. So at Cavendish School, in the code club that we've just run, the cohort was 13 girls and 2 boys.
Really?
Yeah. It can be done. It can be done. It's so now they're interested in this as a subject. What are we going to do to support those girls to take steps into the industry? And I think that's that you asked about, this being a long-term project. That's a long-term project. We have to start now, and we have to stick with them and offer them support as and when they need it. So lots of that. we think the Cavendish Club will become. There's obviously this Year 10 club, but what we really would like to see is clubs maybe set up by the students themselves in older years.
Nice,
so
yeah.
For ourselves, we run as TechResort, we run a teams club. Obviously, we've not been able to do it during COVID. We run it at our own base, our new base, now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the kids bring their own work largely. There's something that they've already started. We support them to do that. So you can see it's slightly more scripted to start with, but still quite open. And then, as they get more and more into it, we kind of, step back a little and let them bring their own work, and we're always there to help them. So, and I think that's how you do this. It's being interested, but it's being available, and being supportive and nurturing is what we're trying to do. Alongside that, we're doing more and more career sessions. So I've got one at Cavendish again next week, and the idea is that the next one I think is going to be more of a little presentation that I've got to do. I don't know how interested kids are in half-hour presentations. So again, I guess we see.
We did one the other week, and I think it was just before their lunchtime, and I think they couldn't wait to get away.
There was a previous one we did. So last year, it was more of an interactive session.
Yeah.
So they cut my bit, which is totally fine, down to about 5 minutes, and then we actually did something, which I think is much more. That's more our style anyway. But our message really is, coding is the bedrock of the digital industry. Of course it is. That's what we write. That's our material that we work with. But there's so much more to it than that. So, Switchplane's a multidisciplinary agency with all the different skills, around design and content and analytics and user research and everything else. And that's the way that we talk about it. You might not be a coder. I can't code. I'm not a coder. I'm a product manager. So, and you explain what these different disciplines are and how the software industry needs all of them. Yeah. And interestingly, I don't know what's going to happen next week. We'll see. But the one I did last year, more than half the room were girls. At what age are they? 15. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's about saying that yes, you can code, but there are all these other things as well. And we were seeing people in the room that were English students, not computer science people. Yeah. Art students. They were, maybe heading for careers in interaction design. Yeah. Yeah. And so on. And we need all of these skills. So we try and do that in schools as well. I'd like to do more. Well,
yeah. I just think I think back to when I was at school and the careers advice. Yeah, this is so much better. And like you say, I think the interactive side of things is really good. And in terms of the different roles that you can do, that's really something we're trying to hammer home as well. It doesn't have to be just coding, and you don't have to be a computer science student to be interested in learning about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No, that's really good, and really good to hear about the number of girls interested as well. And like you say, if you can keep that going.
Yeah.
And us as Switchplane, so anyone watching this presentation, Switchplane is a software development agency. So that's where I work, and Chalk is a separate entity to that, a digital community. But so we very much, when we're looking for people to come and work for us, it is that natural curiosity and the approach to problem solving that we're really interested in. So your approach sounds brilliant. It's fostering that from a young age and not trying to fix everything for them. Let them have a go, make mistakes, experiment, and then really just nurture that passion that they have and the things that they want to do and create. Yeah. So it's really positive to hear that and to see that that's the skills that are being nurtured.
It's interesting because the way some subjects are taught, it's very much this is the right answer and this is the wrong answer. and there's a lot of certainty in the curriculum.
Yeah.
I don't know how much help that actually is, because, you know, I'm running 3 projects in my day job at the moment, and all of them are right at the very start. I mean, I kind of know what we need to do, but there's not really any certainty about any of it, because that's the whole point of the project, is we're going to find out, you know, and we've got the tools to find out. And I think you almost need to say to them, and I guess when you're 15, this is a very odd thing to say, it doesn't matter that you don't know. What really matters is that you want to know, and you want to find out, and you know how to start doing that. And we're gonna, you know, we're trying to really focus that.
Yeah, and it's that resilience, you know, with the problem solving. I mean, often the guys that we work with, I mean, if you get something wrong or you're struggling, to be able to keep going and try something different, not give up, you know, that real sort of resilience to keep on and keep motivated until you find your answer. You know, it's that curiosity, that wanting to get to the end goal, and that's got to drive you. And you're not good, like you say, you're not going to find the answer straight away. And there might be various different ways of doing something. So it's brilliant, and I would love to see you doing more of this and more students getting access to this, really.
We'll have a go.
How do, if any of the schools are listening to this, or any parents even, or, you know, how would they go about getting in touch with you and getting you into a school? Have you got the capacity to do more at the moment?
Yes, we have. I mean, I think the problem with it is it costs money. That's the problem.
Yes.
So we're, and the other problem is that we're very good at getting funding for things, but we've yet to find a really good funder who wants to pay for code clubs for kids aged 10. There really isn't anything. Because if you think about where do you get money for this? Well, work experience, we do work with the Bladegrave Trust. Those kids are older. They're 14, 15, 16, because they're almost in the workplace, some of them. And then some of the more economic development type funds that the government runs, it's about job creation. So those students are either 17, 18, 19, or university leavers, or they're adults returning to the workforce. So they're all older. So it's like, who is paying for helping a child get a bit more interested in code? It's the kind of thing that's very difficult to find. So what we tend to do is we're doing work in lots of different areas. And over time we've built up a bit of a surplus to do things like this. So, for example, the Cavendish Code Club we paid for as TechResort. We haven't got bottomless pockets though. So I think if a school's interested, it might be something that we can part fund, but maybe something they can help to fund, or maybe something that, we can go and find funding together. Or maybe, there are employers out there who want to sponsor one of these, because it's the one bit that we found of all of this that nobody pays for, or doesn't pay for enough. So I think we're up for a conversation about that with employers. If any schools want to talk about it, the fact that we can't fix it immediately today doesn't mean we're not going to fix this, because that's what we do. We want more of these. We want to work out how to fund them and scale them. So I think schools get in touch with us. If you're a parent who wants to get more into this, well, on our website we publish our own events, and you can sign up for them on our website. We don't have many at the moment just because of COVID, but we've got a lot coming in the next few weeks. So go to our website, techresort.org, and you'll see all the stuff that we've been doing. What we try and sorry, carry on.
No. Well, I didn't want to put you off your chain of thought. I was just going to say, for parents, it's about how they can nurture these skills in their children as well. And getting them involved in digital in a safe way, and knowing how to do the same thing that you're doing in terms of encouragement, if this is a route they want to go down. So that's an interesting one.
It is. What we were set up to try and provide these kind of courses either for free, because we think it's important that everybody gets access to the courses. They shouldn't be put off by price, or at a very, very low cost, which means it's one of the reasons we're constantly searching for money to pay for this. But it's important that, you know, it shouldn't be 50 quid a session, because that automatically changes who can do it. It's got to be nothing or 5 quid or whatever it might be, and you've got to bring the cost of this stuff right down. So we're very keen to keep doing that. One word for parents is, don't just bring your boys, bring your girls. We found that, and it doesn't happen that often, but we do see it, is that, you know, dad or mom brings their boy to a thing that maybe it's to do with game design, or he's into technology, he wants to do more technology. So we see a lot of parents bringing their boys, but they'll take their girls to ballet or something else. And that's fine if they really like ballet, but don't discount this area of work, because it's a very creative, as you know, it's a very creative thing. Just because we're doing slightly more techie things, it doesn't make it any less creative. So don't rule it out. You know, come along, see, try it out.
Give them a chance to try it and see how they get on. Okay. Few more questions. I could talk to you for a lot longer. I can already see me overrunning, because this is just such an interesting topic.
I can talk about this for England, so
we might need a part 2 interview. Okay, so I had a question about the digital inclusion toolkit. So this is something you've come up with. How has this been received and utilised by other local authorities? So maybe just to start with, tell us a little bit about what the digital inclusion toolkit is, and then how it's kind of been taken up.
You can't say it as a tongue twister. It's too fast to say. So this started during COVID. And you know, we all know that services moved online, and for the people that can't get online, they're really stuck. So you're taking something that digital inclusion has always been a problem. You know, it's people not having the kit or the connectivity or the confidence to get online. It's always been a problem. It's been a problem for years. But COVID brought it home really brought that home to people. So the central government said to councils, and I happened to be working at a council at the time, we want your bids for ideas that are going to help. And TechResort and Croydon, where I was working, said we want to make a thing where all the best digital inclusion advice can be collected. And at the same time, the folks in Leeds I was telling you about applied separately and said we want to make a thing where all the advice can be kept. So we'd had the same idea. And it's DLUC. It's a horrible acronym. It's Department of Levelling Up Housing and Communities. It's the old MHCLG, Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government. It's the same thing. They said, well, we're not going to fund 2 identical projects. Get together and see what you can do together. So that's, you know, cut a long story short, we've been funded twice by them, and we've created a website, digitalinclusiontoolkit.org, and in it we've collected together all the good advice that TechResort and 100% Digital Leeds had, but also we're hearing from lots of different local councils around the country, and they're talking about how they get these programs done, how they start them, how they fund them, how they identify who needs help, how they work out what help those people need. And it's for councils. I mean, it's if you're a community group or a health trust or something, all this information is completely relevant. So go and have a look anyway, if you're trying to start something in your place. But what we found was in most of the areas of the UK, it's generally a council that takes the lead, a county council or a unitary authority takes the lead in this kind of work. So it's aimed at them, even though it's useful for everybody else. and we're growing. So we think this is going to continue this year. 5 more councils have joined, and it will grow. We'll collect more information together. We'll get more councils talking about how to fix this, and it's a function of a lot of what TechResort does, and what I do in my day job is try not to reinvent the wheel.
Yes,
because we've already thought about this. There's a lot of good advice from around the country, and what works in Leeds, a lot of what works in Leeds can work here. So let's bring some of that information here, and let's try and use it and find out which bits are applicable and write about that. So in terms of how it's gone, people love it. What we found in a lot of councils is that somebody realizes that digital inclusion is a problem, that they're not hearing from their regular clients because they were coming in through the door or they're on the phone or whatever.
Okay.
And then they realized a lot of them realized during COVID they were having to do something about this. And maybe they wanted to do it for a long time, but this is the trigger to really do it. They're now looking at this and going, well, what actually are we going to do?
Yeah.
Now to fix this? And this is very much where we come in. You're not on your own. There are other people who've done this already. You can go and read good how-to guides and case studies of how to get something started, how to make the case for money, how to really understand how to best serve your community. We're saving them a lot of time.
Yeah.
So it's been great, and there's more to do, obviously, but
yeah,
can really help.
Yeah. No, I think it's great if all councils can just work together. You can achieve so much more.
Exactly.
So fantastic. Okay, so you've got lots going on. What are you most excited about working on this year? What's your kind of thing you're looking forward to?
Everything I mentioned previously. So definitely more digital inclusion kit stuff, because it's making a difference at scale across the country. Yeah. It's going to make, I think it's going to help in a lot of different places, not just Sussex. So that's really useful. Doing more in schools. We'd love to work with 3 or 4 more schools. So any teachers, heads that want to talk to us, please do. I think the fact that we've got a new home, we can actually, and it looks like, fingers crossed, COVID's on the way out. We want to do more in our new home, in our community, because that's the stuff we've really been missing. And a lot of that, I think, is going to be work experience for young people, because I mean, my son, he's 14. They cancelled his work experience because of COVID. Yeah. So he's had no work experience of any kind. And we think, and we've seen from talking to young people that this is the kind of practical experience they really want. So I think being able to offer more work experience this year is going to help some of those young people catch up and get that experience. So I think if I was going to pick anything out of all of that, I think it's lots more work experience, because that's missing now. And the young people are already feeling it, but we'll all start to see this as employers in the next couple of years, and we need to take steps and do something about that. And
I'm assuming you'll be at the big Future show this year, so I guess students can come there, meet you, chat to you guys, see how they can get involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And so if any of my Chalk community listeners are listening right now, anyone that's part of the digital community we've been setting up or is interested in joining, can they help you? How can the different digital businesses in the town help TechResort with the work that you're doing? How can they engage with you?
There are so many different things they could do. So you, in your newsletter, you talked about Tubbs Computing a couple of weeks ago. They are fab.
Yeah.
So, and they're repurposing laptops. We do that as well. So if you've got laptops, that either go to them, come to us. if you've got laptops sitting around though, they need to be repurposed, reused. So, you know, we don't mind who does it, just as long as it's done.
Yeah.
The demand we see is absolutely there. So please, if you've got laptops, don't just leave them around, lying around. I mean, come along as employers, come along to our sessions, which we're starting now that hopefully COVID's on the way out, because you'll meet lots of young people and you'll learn from them.
Yeah.
You might not be able to hire them tomorrow, but you'll still learn. You'll learn a great deal from them, and that's a very valuable thing. And you will make, you know, friendships, relationships for the future, and you might well in the future hire some of these students. And that's happened with some of our older students. So I think you, Lewis at Switchplane,
yes,
came through TechResort.
Exactly. He is living proof that it works.
He is living proof that it works.
He is now a senior developer at the organisation.
It's amazing,
you know.
guy. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Zunu, they've had a few people from us, and our older students, the people we've been working with longest, they're all going on and getting good jobs. And we want more of those jobs to be here in Eastbourne. You know, that's why we were set up. I think finally, is we're thinking of doing this. It's very much an idea at the moment, like a friend scheme for local employers to join, and the money we would be asking for money, but that money would go into coding clubs in schools. It's the area that we can't get funded. We don't think any other way. So we would be saying, you know, do you want to, as an employer, do you want to sponsor this club in this school and have a relationship with these kids? Doesn't mean you don't meet any of the others, but we think that might be one way to do it, because we can get everything else funded. Yeah, you know, we can get work experience funded, we can get real life projects funded. As the kids get older, it's much easier to get funding, but this bit is difficult. Yeah. So we're starting to think about that, and if any employers, you know, want to get involved with that, that would be a huge help, and they would get a massive kick out of it as well, because it's just so much fun. So I think those ways, lots of different ways, but we're open to conversation. So if there's something here and people think, oh, I really want to do a X, we're up for a chat. So you know, we want to hear about the needs that you have as employers. It's what we're here for. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. As Chalk, we're hoping to have some in-person meetups with community members. I think we're looking to do the first one beginning of March. Watch this space, everybody. So that actually, Will, you'll be getting an invite, of course.
Looking forward to it.
And either at that event or future, it'd be nice if we can bring you together with some of the members, and then you can talk about what you're doing. They can talk about their needs. It's just about having conversations, isn't it? And making those relationships. I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but it seems to me that is the way to get more momentum.
It is. And I think government and councils move really slowly, and that's not their fault. It's just that's how they are. So if we want to get stuff done, you know, like today, we have to do it ourselves. At least we have to start doing it ourselves. And I think they'll catch up. Yeah, and that's been very much our history over the last sort of 10 years. If you want something doing, basically you've got to do it yourself. Yeah. And you know, I think more and more people sort of coming together and being able to do that is going to make, you know, it's going to make a massive difference to Eastbourne and to all of our businesses, you know. Yeah.
Okay, and then the last piece, just for any students listening to this, they've already heard lots of different ways that, you know, things that they can get involved with, but, you know, what's your advice for them when somebody comes through your doors and they're wanting to get involved in digital industry, they just don't know where to start? What's your advice that you give them?
I think it's young people and adults, because increasingly we're seeing adults that want to retrain, or they've been maybe they did computing at school a few years ago, and now they're thinking how they want to use that. So I think everyone's different. If anyone wants a careers chat, just drop us an email, or we're on Twitter or Facebook, on Instagram. If anyone wants to talk about their specific situation, we'd love to hear from them. But I think above that, as our sessions restart, come along, you know, they're mainly for young people, but not to begin with, but not all. Yeah. And if there's something that that you want that we're not doing, then say, and we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll do our best. I think also, you know, they need a bit more background to the software industry, because I think a lot of people think, oh, it's games design.
Yeah,
that's a part of it, and that
yeah.
might it's superficially very appealing, but actually games are very hard, and it's a very hard industry to be in, and it's a very small part of what we do. So almost like, you know, read about software industry, or talk to employers, talk to people like us about what's actually in this industry, because games design and so on, it's a nice hook, but actually there's way more to it than that.
Yeah.
So yeah, read about it.
Okay.
And there's plenty
Awesome.
out there to read.
Well, we'll make sure we put all the useful links in the newsletter of events you've got coming up, and your social media, as you've said there, so that they can contact you.
Yeah.
Will, this has been a fantastic chat. I think we could have talked a lot more, but yeah, it's been a really good overview of all the great work that you guys are doing. And I hope that people listening will get, you know, excited about it too, and engage with you and support you in the great work that you're doing. So thank you very much for being part of this interview with us. I know everyone's going to really enjoy hearing and reading about it. Okay, and I wish you the best of luck with all your activities that you're doing.
You too, and to Chalk too. It's, you know, the fact that businesses are getting together, that's what this is about. You know, we'll crack it working together.
We can do this.
Yeah, we will.
Thanks so much, Will. Bye-bye.